Well, look, there was a lot of great things that they did, Didi, but even towards the end of the game, you were talking about the nous that they showed and their ability to just close out a game.
Well, I think they chose an experienced team and the good teams. The good teams found a way to close games out, and if the Japanese have got a television on the plane they're sitting on now, maybe they should have a look at this. This is 89 minutes played. They get a corner here. They're on 20, 30 seconds off the clock. And then they commit one player, two players forward, and they leave 5 or 6 behind. And what they do here I like as well, because when you start wrestling at the corner flag, where we see a lot, usually a foul is given against the Swedish player, tries to get another corner, doesn't get it. But what do? They've got 10 men behind the ball, and they close the goal kick from the keeper down. And if Japan had done that yesterday, they would have got to extra time where they would have gone through, we don't know. But at least it would have given them a shot to have a look whether they can beat Belgium in extra time. And this is what I like. You've got to play the game. It might not be pretty to watch, and people sit at home and say, why does he kick the ball out of play? No, you've got to do what's right at the right time. And the way they closed the game out and the way they restricted Swiss to hardly a chance was just fantastic, and they thoroughly deserved their place in the last 8.
To broaden that out then, Didi, just in terms of how you actually coach that into a kid. I mean, you were having a conversation off air about the structures and the academies, and maybe we were talking about the purists and all that earlier, that maybe this kind of stuff is being coached out of kids. But is that the kind of thing that is being coached in?
Well, I'm not sure whether you coach the kids, because a lot of it should come from themselves. I'm not sure whether I would like to see that in kids' football. At the same time, you have to think about the game, because if you don't think about the game, you will never improve. And this is something you have to work on the training pitch. I had managers where we exercised or had games where the team was winning 1 or 2-0 with 2-3 minutes to go. So it's a 3-minute game, and you've got to run the clock down as much as you can. You can't do that in a tournament, but that should be coached. I think it's the responsibility of a manager to let them know and to tell them what to do when it's a tight game, you're winning by 1 goal and there's 2 minutes to go. This is what I want to see, and it shows great. It shows knowledge, it shows experience, and it shows that they care. And I don't want to accuse the Japanese of not caring, but I've never seen anything as daft as I did yesterday. And there's no excuse for it, because they're sitting on a plane now. They could be being in the last 8 now. This is a difference between going into the next round or going home. And I think the lesson for kids to learn: think about the game. Think about what you have to do at which time.
Yeah, well, you're working with kids, Damien. I mean, what are you telling them about this kind of stuff? I mean, because there must be millions of examples that you're watching every day.
Well, my lads would be 15-year-olds. I teach them it now. They're not babies anymore. It's not kindergarten I'm running. So, in a year, 2 years' time, they could potentially be in the first team if they're good enough. So they need to know this stuff. So, for me, 15-year-olds, yeah, I'm going to tell them. And whether it be dark arts, obviously not telling them to kick people, but, even going, if there's contact in the box, like if anyone ever touched me in the box, I wouldn't call it a dive, but I'd take the penalty rather than being too honest. So I would maybe mention that to them sometimes as well. Not a dive, but dark arts of the game. But last night, Japan, it was a bit kamikaze, you'd have to say. Belgium, if the one thing, any team taking a corner, you are vulnerable in a way. Against Belgium, you're especially vulnerable because they're so top class. So, it's probably not pretty just to take your touch, take it short, and, back yourself in extra time in the half hour. So you can see it from both ways why Japan thought we'll back ourselves here. But they were on the rope, so I can see it from Didi's point of view as well.
Yeah, what do you think?
And they only had one thing in mind, the Belgium.
Yeah.
The Japanese didn't win one offensive header all game. And the Belgians had one thing in mind: Courtois is going to catch the ball, and we're going to bomb forward because it's the last move of the game. And that's why they got outnumbered.